Does Pascal Siakam have a chance to overtake Kyle as the best Raptor? Not next season, not even the season afterwards. But, and I know it's blasphemous. No, obviously Kyle is, undisputed. Well, not undisputed. I mean, mostly undisputed, I would say.
Currently undisputed GOAT.
Currently undisputed
Groped.
Raptors GOAT. Yeah, that's right. But can Pascal overtake him down the line? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because obviously, so now Pascal's made All-NBA second team. He's made All-NBA third team. In terms of Raptors history, he joins Vince Carter, who made the third team in 1999, made the second team in 2000, and DeMar DeRozan, who made third team in 2017 and second team in 2018. The other players on the Raptors who have been named to the All-NBA teams, Chris Bosh did it in 2007, the second team. Kawhi did it in 2019, the second team. And then Kyle did it, third team, 2016. Obviously, there's other factors that go into play. There's longevity. There is, people contributing to championships. There's players who have changed the culture. There's players who have made tons of all-star games that it's still more than Pascal. But, if Pascal's on the Raptors and if he remains healthy and at this level for 4 or 5 more years, like, are we not going to have that conversation as well?
I think Siakam has the potential. I think for me, I would look at where does he play the rest of his prime in today's day and age where things change once, you're past that peak and trades get made and all of that.
Okay.
Players have different desires. I think, if it so happens that he ends up on another team post his prime, then it is what it is. But, say he plays out his next contract and he's put in, at this point it's at 6. If it gets to 10 plus, and he's got several more all-stars to his name, got more all-NBA selections, maybe there's an all-defense in him as well. I think you have to have the conversation because I think what's beautiful about Pascal is he represents so much of what the Raptors have been in this modern era. A guy who was drafted, late in the first round, goes to the G League, finds a way to be successful there, wins the G League Finals MVP, wins the G League championship, then comes up as the most improved player. The Raptors organization are all about development, so he represents that in that way. Goes and wins a championship and is the second leading scorer on the team behind Kawhi Leonard. Then he's taken on this challenge of being the guy, and if he can continue to take this franchise forward, ultimately it'll be defined by playoff success. Can you get to the Eastern Conference Finals? Can you get to the NBA Finals? Those are the things that will probably tip the scales ultimately. But I think the one thing that you would have said with Kyle that should apply to Siakam going forward is, obviously winning the championship elevated Kyle's legacy, but you didn't necessarily need that to appreciate everything that Kyle brings to the table. And I think with this version of Pascal, we want to see him make the Eastern Conference Finals. We want to see him go as deep as he can in the playoffs. But I don't think winning or not winning a championship as a Raptor should ultimately define, as the guy, should ultimately define where he ranks and how much we appreciate him.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. I mean, even when Kyle, I mean, like, I think the championship helped, like, I mean, honestly, like, I would have had him already at that level as the greatest Raptor before the championship, but the championship just, like, is unassailable. But, like, Pascal has he contributed just as much to that championship as Kyle did, Yep. And when we look back at it, again, like, you would need a lot more longevity.
Neither of them was the guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's why Kawhi's not the greatest Raptor. Although some people still say Kawhi's the greatest Raptor, which is like, he had the greatest season for the Toronto Raptors, but he had one season, man. Like, that, you can't immediately vaunt. He might be the best player the Raptors ever had. I'm cool with that being said. I think that's true as well. But
right,
greatest, I think you need some longevity. You need some part in building that program, and I think that's also where Kyle really helped establish, like, that culture of winning. And I think Pascal probably doesn't have that benefit because with the time that Pascal took over, the Raptors had already essentially corrected themselves as a franchise. Whereas when Kyle took over, obviously the Raptors were basically Sacramento East. So there is that benefit, but at the same time, like, when, again, this is looking 4 or 5 years down the line. But if he keeps this up, like, I think there's a real chance for him to get to that level, which is kind of incredible to say as a Raptor fan. All right,